Are you ready for some eye-opening facts? In today's society, there's a growing trend among political elites to portray themselves as ordinary citizens, aligning their public image with the everyday experiences of the average person. Despite their vast resources and privileged lifestyles, many of these individuals attempt to downplay their wealth and disconnect from the realities of their status. This phenomenon raises questions about authenticity and the motivations behind such portrayals, and that's what Tucker Carlson was trying to figure out as he had Dave Smith on his show, and wondered why they are trying to do that. But before I delve deeper into it, watch the clip.
Michelle Obama goes to Princeton for free, and has been in the ruling class her whole life. And she's still lecturing you about how she's a victim of racism. Hillary Clinton, exact same thing. Goes to Wellesley, spends her entire life in the ruling class, and she's still whining about how she's discriminated against. Why are they doing that?
Yeah, and did you ever see, they'll have like pictures of side by side, but it'll be like pictures of like Jimmy Carter's house and Obama's house.
Exactly.
And it totally represents something about the like corroding of our soul.
In a white neighborhood, you should be required to live in the hood if you're Barack Obama. And
if you're using that card.
You use that card. The only reason you got elected was because of your race. You spent your entire 8 years inflaming race hate in our country, and then you go to Martha's Vineyard, the whitest zip code in the world? Not allowed. You're not allowed to do that.
That is a fire take from Tucker. No one can deny that the Obamas, the Clintons, and the Bidens have successfully monetized their political careers, and what they're actually doing is sickening to say the least. These people are using identity politics to exploit and manipulate solidarity among various demographic groups based on shared experiences or perceived common grievances, but why are they doing that, you may ask? Simple. There's a significant financial incentive for elites to engage in identity politics. Selling books, advancing personal brands, and securing lucrative speaking engagements are often tied to an individual's prominence within identity politics discourse. By the way, make sure to subscribe for more discussions just like this one. By positioning themselves as champions of the certain identity groups, elites not only enhance their public profiles but also capitalize financially on the heightened visibility and influence that they gain from these engagements. For instance, Michelle Obama's charged $750,000 for a 1-hour speech in Germany, with the main talking points being on how to push past self-doubt while discussing the importance of inclusivity and diversity. Those issues weren't even talked about a decade ago, but the Obama presidency made sure they entered public discourse and polarized American society to rates that we've never seen before. Tucker and Dave have more to say on the racial divisions created during Obama's presidency in this next clip.
Barack Obama's campaign in 2008, first of all, it was just leaving how you feel about the guy aside, it was an amazing campaign. It was unlike anything that had ever been run before.
It was genius.
Yes, it was totally brilliant. It was now, of course, it wasn't what they presented it as. No. It wasn't like a grassroots campaign. It was,
let's sort of like elect the black guy and get past the race stuff. I loved that.
Well, especially because that was his message.
That was his message. And
like, let's get past the race stuff.
I love that.
He goes, then I think essentially what happened, and it was around Obama's re-election campaign, this is where things really went off the rails in this country, was that he got in there and continued and expanded all the worst of the Bush policies.
Oh, of course.
And so they almost had nothing to run on. And so they decided to pivot to a culture war instead.
Reflecting on Obama's presidency, it's clear that race played a significant role for the support he received, especially for his first term, where his historic election was regarded as many by a step forward in racial progress. However, his presidency brought racial tensions to the forefront of American political and social life. Obama's second term was characterized by heightened political polarization, where racial identity issues became increasingly dominant in political debates and discourse. A 2016 poll by CNN proves just that. According to this poll, the relations between the races has worsened due to the Obama presidency, noting, quote, overall 54% of the respondents say relations between black and white people have gotten worse since Obama became president, including 57% of white people and 40% of black people. Additionally, his presidency also saw the rise of movements that were racially charged, such as Black Lives Matter. While largely a peaceful movement advocating for significant social change, there were many instances where protests under the Black Lives Matter banner escalated into serious violence. Even after leaving office, Barack and Michelle Obama continued on this divisive rhetoric since they already found their audience. Now it was time to monetize this. Watch the next clip and you'll get what I'm saying.
Many of us still live in fear as we go to the grocery store or worry about walking our dogs or allowing our children to get a license. I mean, just imagine.
Aren't your girls driving?
They're driving.
Yeah.
But every time they get in a car by themselves, I worry about what assumption is being made by somebody who doesn't know everything about them. The fact that they are good students and polite girls, but maybe they're playing their music a little loud. Maybe somebody sees the back of their head and makes an assumption. I, like so many parents of black kids, have to, that the innocent act of getting a license puts fear in our hearts.
To give you a little bit of context, this interview happened after the Derek Chauvin verdict, with the intention being to promote Michelle's Netflix show. Are you seeing how these people monetize on other people's grievances? The intertwining of these serious social issues with promotional content should raise concerns about exploiting such events for personal or commercial gain. Her remarks reinforce nothing but spreading division and fear between communities and therefore inflaming tensions in society. Statements that focus primarily on fear and victimization, especially when made by individuals with massive reach and exposure, shapes public perception and overshadows the progress that has been made in many areas when it comes to police reforms. Such an approach not only leads to polarization of society, also leads to sidelining proactive discussions about how to effectively address social issues because people start to feel powerless and lose motivation for constructive change. Candace Owens didn't appreciate this move by Michelle and said this on Tucker's show.
Why? I notice a theme here. There are a lot of extremely rich people who are deeply miserable and desperate to have you believe they're victims. What is that?
Yeah, it's great. I mean, LeBron James living in Bel Air, he's a victim. Meghan Markle went downgraded from billionaire to multimillionaire. She's a victim. They want you to know that they're all victims. It's because they're trying to distract us. The truth is that they view us as peasants. They're trying to make it seem like, hey, when the peasants turn against us because they're actually robbing all of them, we don't want them to look at us. We want to make them think that we're one of us. They're not one of us. They're nothing like us. They don't live like us. She has nothing that goes on in her life that is similar to the average American, yet she keeps trying to use her skin color and her complexion as a way to make people believe that she's suffering, and she's absolutely not suffering. And everyone should be aware that if you're watching this and you think that LeBron James and Meghan Markle and Barack Obama and Michelle Obama are oppressed, you are a fool. You have been fooled. They are doing just fine.
And that's true. As much as these people would like us to believe that they resonate with the average person, they are far from it. This is only a calculated move by them or their managers as a branding strategy designed to enhance their marketability and approachability. There's also the point that the Obamas and Clintons have held the highest political office in the United States, and LeBron James is an internationally recognized athlete with substantial commercial success, so they're clearly in the place of privilege. If I may use the woke left's vocabulary here, as they don't suffer from barriers such as poverty, lack of access to quality education, healthcare, and professional opportunities. These individuals wield significant influence. Former presidents and first ladies have platforms that can shape public discourse, policy, and even international relations long after their terms have ended. Similarly, LeBron James has a massive following that is used as platform to influence social issues and public opinion. The ability to affect change at such a scale is typically not a feature of oppression, which involves a lack of power and visibility. I think it's shameful that instead of putting their visibility and reach into good use, these people are resorting to portray themselves as victims to garner more attention. Could also be best described as always wanting to be the center of attention to generate as much revenue as possible for their personal brands, overusing their massive influence for issues that contribute to the overall wellness of society.